Hello, everyone. My name is Padmini Nidumolu, and I'm the co-founder of Lean and Agile. This initiative is founded to bring the women voices out and to bring all of us together in the community so we can support each other and raise the floor for each other. And there are many such organizations. This is one of them. And the intent of all the organizations that you interact with today are same. As part of this organization, one of the initiatives we have taken up is called Lean and Agile 100 or LIA100. And the basic premise is to bring 100 women to you from across the world to share their stories, to get inspired, and to resonate with certain aspects of their journey so we can have that support and scaffolding as we go through our own journeys. And we have asked for nominations and we received overwhelming response. And here we are with yet another guest today on this channel. Her name is the phenomenal, I want to add that prefix to her and you'll know why shortly. It is Sabine Neuenschwander, and I practiced her last name because I wanted to say it correctly. So welcome, Sabine, how are you?
I'm fine, hello, thanks. And you did it so well, my last time.
Awesome, thank you. I did practice that. So let me say a few words about you as a very brief introduction, but I really want to turn it over to you to kind of share your very rich experience and background. So Sabine has been on a mission to kind of share her story called Zero to Hero, something that we're going to learn from her today. But she has a wealth of knowledge, full of hands-on experience in agile and classic working environments. And it's sprinkled with well-founded theoretical knowledge as well. And then this enables her to build bridges between the worlds and to meet the interest groups at eye level, which is what makes it so interesting. So without further ado, I'll turn this back to Sabine. And Sabine, thank you so much for joining us. You're joining us all the way from Switzerland. And what is the place that you live right now called?
The place I live is called Burgdorf.
Okay.
So it's like Castle Village in English. So a one-to-one translation from German to English would be Castle Village.
Castle Village.
It's around Castle Village or Burgdorf.
Mm-hmm.
It's around 1 hour drive in the southwest of Zurich.
Awesome. So do you have a lot of castles there?
No, just a few, but anyway, it's called Burgdorf or
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, no, that's very interesting. I mean, Switzerland is such a beautiful place. I'm sure any place you go to has these beautiful, picturesque mountains and rivers and whatnot. So awesome.
Yeah, so Burgdorf is in the village of Emmental. Maybe you all know the cheese with the big holes.
Yes.
Yes.
That's
So
where it comes
I live
from.
in, yes.
Okay. That's interesting. So that's hard to forget now. So, good way to remember. Thank you for
Like the
sharing
valley with
that.
the cheese with the big holes. Exactly.
Okay. All right. So, Sabine, I know personally about your journey. That's because I was made aware through a paper that I read about you. Plus, both of us are sharing the stage at the Requisite Agility Summit that's coming up. So I'm very excited about that. But let's start with a few questions leading up to your actual story, which is the crux of this conversation. What got you into the space of lean, space of agile to begin with?
I start work as a Scrum Master maybe 10 or 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was nominated to be a Scrum Master in a backend developer team. So it's like you imagine a typical nerd team. And I came in as the only woman without having an IT background. And it was a completely new world was going on for me. So like, it was very interesting. So my Agile or Lean journey started around 12 years ago. as I work as a Scrum Master. This is years before Agile or Lean became a mega trend.
Yeah.
Like I said, in this like typical nerd back at the developer team, I did this job for around 7 to 8 years in that team, and then this company was merged by a big Swiss telephone company, and then I started to do other work. Like bigger company, you have more things, more opinions, more chances to take. And I started to be a coach. Started to make some agile project management, lean change management. Yeah, so this is how it goes since around 12 years.
Okay, okay. And we were chatting a little bit earlier, and one of the things that I make it a point to chat with my guests on the show is we'd like to understand the internal barriers that most women harbor, right? Most of us have internal barriers, or we perceive them to be barriers, right? It
Mhm.
could be about the leadership positions that we want to kind of get to, but there are not enough leadership positions. Or women inclusion, right, on the leadership tables or on the decision making tables, or just the inclusion in every aspect of strategic making or execution or whatever. Um, in some cases, or in most cases, that's true, but in some cases, it's just a victim mentality, right, that we all have, which is essentially a barrier. What are your thoughts on that? And have you ever experienced it, and how did you overcome that?
So I have a little bit different view than on this topic because I came into IT without having any IT background. I
Oh,
didn't had no I had no Scrum or Agile background. I first read in Wikipedia, what the hell is a Scrum Master doing? So I really had no idea about my current job,
yeah.
and but the team wanted to have me and just me as a Scrum Master. But so my experience in IT leadership, project management is now about 12 years, and what I can tell, I I got many help of men with good IT background in leadership position to first of all bring me in the cases of Scrum, of IT. I got many help and assistance as well in management insights. And basically, I was very well treated by men, assisting me, giving help or advice how to manage certain situation. So I was very well supported, especially by men. But I just met a few women in those IT projects, and usually I got some conflicts with them, and they felt like concurrents. And usually or normally, this was not very helpful for all of us. So instead of helping that all women, and we were just few, helped each other to survive or to adapt and to be successful in this quite difficult environment, we usually got problems very soon
Okay.
between the women. And
Yeah.
I hardly had these problems with men who helped me to become better, to get better understanding in IT management as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's quite strange because for years I was looking for like, oh, I wish I had a mentor, a women mentor who I could talk about my worries, my problems, but I never found. And so I still miss that. So I would love to have a women mentor still, but unfortunately this not gonna work. So in conclusion, I got a lot of help of men, assistants and advisors. I was treated very well. Unfortunately, collaboration with other women in tech got in trouble very soon. And
Mm.
I wished it could be different, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
But anyway, what I want to say is you get your chance if you are willed and able to take it.
right,
And it doesn't matter if you are woman or man at the end
right,
of the day.
right, right. And I think you bring up a great point, right, Sabine? There are very implicit messages, I think, that I'm gathering from what you just said. Number one, of course, men are our allies, right? You know, they are the spouses, they are the dads, they are the friends, they are the colleagues, they're the hiring managers, absolutely. And I think we need to have uh, a loose structure or a community of women coming together to really truly support each other, because there is immense potential, there's immense
Yes.
strength in that. And I think what you just mentioned, and thank you for being honest and vulnerable with that situation, right? Because I think you really wanted to collaborate, but it just didn't click. So the message is, there are women out there who are looking for women mentors, for women collaboration. And together we can be so much more powerful and so much more stronger than we are alone. So I think the lesson learned here, the message is, let's actually support each other. And by doing so, we are stronger together. It's not a competitive environment because there's enough for everybody to thrive. So I think that's
Oh,
the
yes.
message. So
Yeah.
thanks for being we need to hear these stories, these perspectives as well, because these are realities. These are realities, and that's why I think organizations like our organization and many other organizations are bringing in that format and structure for women to come together and really offer to the group and seek from the group. That's
Yeah,
the
that's great. Yeah.
yeah. So that's the crux of it. All right. So now moving on to the most interesting aspect of your life, Sabine. Tell us what this zero to hero story is all about. Tell us what you were like when you were a zero, and what really made you travel to a hero state, and how it happened.
Okay. Yeah, let's start with the zero. So,
Sure.
as I told you, I have a long background with Agile, all the stuff around Scrum. I worked for as a Scrum Master, Agile project manager, 4 years. In summer 18, so around 2 years ago, I found myself in a quite bad situation. I had some health issues. I had issues with my family, with my boyfriend. I was not in a good general condition, and I was almost suffering like from burnout. Not that bad, but I had some symptoms of burnout. I was frustrated. So as I said, this was not in a I found myself in a bad situation, and I was deeply frustrated because I was looking for a new project or a new team, and I didn't found it. So this made my frust even worse. I was deeply depressed about all my life, and life was bad, world was bad all around me. I think, oh, let me go to sleep, and I don't want to hear anything anymore. World is bad for me. And I wanted to have a new project or new team who with very difficult situation, with complex problem to solve. So I really looked for a challenge, and I didn't found one. And a good friend of mine said, well, maybe you found your project, but you don't notice it. And I said, well, please tell me more about. And then he asked me, maybe you should check the person you see in the mirror, because I can see there a problem with a huge challenge without any scope, any ideas. And if we would talk about a project, it would be a deep red status.
Mm.
And maybe you can, before you are bored or even more depressed, you can take charge. You, you can take charge about this potential project you see daily in your mirror. Well, I haven't been very happy to hear that. And I needed to sleep more than one night about it. And then I realized, well, maybe he's right. And so I decided to treat myself like an HL product or an HL project, you name it.
Mm.
And I was thinking, yeah, how would you manage such an issue if this would be your customer?
Yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, when you start a lean or agile project, you staff or organize your project. So I decided to have like a meeting with myself daily. So the daily scrum maybe. I decided that I need to have a scope,
Yeah.
because anyway, without a scope, any project or transformation will fail. But I needed to recognize that I don't have any scope for myself or for my life. This was quite hard to take note about it, because in a project you would say a project without any clear scope will fail
Yeah.
100%. But I didn't have a scope for myself, so and I never think before that maybe I should have a scope for my life. So I had to find some scope, and I decided to try to work on my scope in 1 week sprint, because yeah, unfortunately this project or myself, I think, was very unmature, so not on a high level of HL or Scrum. So I decided to go for a very short sprint length. And I decided to make, yeah, well, I have a sprint now, the sprint length, I have my daily Scrum, my meeting with myself, and I need to have planning. I organized my planning on a weekly base on Sunday evening. And on Sunday evening, I also had my personal retro, where I look back on the week, looking what if it worked or it worked not, and why I failed to catch some goals. So this was my personal start of I started my own Agile, or call it Lean, program to change my life. And I noticed also, well, in this setup, I need to have a product owner. Unfortunately, this was me, because who else? And as a project owner, you are fully accountable for all you do. So if you fail to achieve your personal goals, yeah, it's just you. This
Yeah.
is quite hard, because we love to say, oh, well, so sorry, but yeah, at the end of the day, this setup forced me to take fully to be accountable of all what I do. If I fail, if I get my goals, and I couldn't be like the victim anymore. And so with this like typical lean or agile setup, I started to change my life. I had a scope, I had my meeting with myself, I had like a weekly planning meeting I had a weekly retro, and I was able to put down in some stories or tasks, you name it, it doesn't matter. And so I started to work on myself on a weekly basis, like in an Agile or Lean program. And the first sprint, I did all mistakes Agile teams usually do. I overcommitted. I failed my sprint goal. I took 10 tasks working. A work in progress limit was not okay, because I started all together and finished nothing. And at the end of the first sprints, I noted, well, you do what you do wrong is what your teams typically do wrong. They didn't accept the work in progress limit. I didn't either. I overcommitted completely, and I took more tasks into my week without taking out other tasks. So it's also very interesting that a person like me who worked as a Scrum Master like 10 years, in the private life we do all in a completely other way what we teach daily in our job. And I think, well, maybe it would help you to have same governance as you have daily in your job with your team, as well with yourself. And this is quite hard. It was very interesting to see that it's so hard to have same governance, but in the meantime we force or we demand our teams daily to do that.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, so the first maybe 8 sprints, I was deeply frustrated and depressed at the end of the sprint. I always checked why I failed my goals. And yeah, unfortunately, if you are the product owner of your life, you cannot say, well, my mom or my dad or my boyfriend, because you are fully accountable in your role.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so this game or this program is now running since more or less 2 years. And yeah, I became like a very successful freelancer. I'm allowed to give interviews like here, so I'm able to talk my story. It's I was never thinking that someone will be interested in my story. Never ever. I have a good relationship with my family, especially with my mother. Um, I'm now live together with my boyfriend. What was for me no idea or no plan ever before. My bank account is usually full. Before it was quite
Nice.
empty. Yeah, and I'm on a good way to be able to run a half marathon next
Amazing.
in
Nice.
spring next year. And yes, 2 years before I had 10 kilo more, and I was suffering from brief issues. But I also now in those sprints, some of my personal sprint goals were to improve my health, to start running, and to go on with all my personal improvement, also in case of sports. And I look forward to be able to run a half marathon in spring next year, I guess. So yeah, from zero, like I said, zero health issues, family issues in relationship, almost burnouted, empty bank account, um, to the hero as a very successful freelancer. Um, I, I speak like today or another conferences, so I became a speaker. I'm very proud about. Um, I enlarge my business. I have now some employees. I do not need to make my administration anymore by myself, so it's my secretary who is doing that. And I'm so proud about it. Yes, and this using tools we all know in Agile or Lean, just not in the scope of a team or on a project or program, by using these common tools on myself. And look at it, it worked perfectly.
Yeah. Wow. That was, wow. I think this deserves applause. You know, I feel like if this was said to a room full of people, I'm pretty sure you received a standing ovation from a lot of people. That's how I feel like, you know, it's a standing ovation. And I'm just so proud of you, Sabine. Um, very rarely do you see somebody taking accountability for, where they are and why they are in that situation, and turn it around with determination, positivity, and applying, lean principles, right? That's the silver bullet, because we teach that to our teams, we teach that to our organizations. Why not apply it on ourselves? Because essentially, if you are the product owner of your own life, then every principle that applies to a commercial product out there applies to you, because it's the
Yes.
same principle, right? And organizations are full of individuals. So if it applies and be successful there, why not here? And you are a living example of that, right? And you actually showed that it is possible. So kudos to you, huge kudos to you.
Thank you. And yeah, it also helps you if you feel like how difficult it can be to take full accountability.
Yeah.
You get a better understanding of each product owner you see in your business.
Yes, yes. And
Yes.
I think it reflects better in your profession, because now you're actually living it, and you
Yeah,
can,
or we all want to have like transparency and honesty of our teams. We want them to be honest to each other and talk about everything.
yeah,
But if you need yourself to talk about everything, you feel like, oh, in some topics it's quite difficult to do that.
yes, yes, yes,
And and then I got a much better understanding of the problems of my team, because I felt like, yes, in certain topics it can be very difficult to do that.
yeah,
And so I became also a much better Scrum Master and Agile coach during this process.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, this is one tremendous story that I will share with many of my colleagues and friends. So thank you so much, Sabine, for being honest, vulnerable, and just being who you are, because that's in itself is a lesson for us to learn
Thank
from.
you.
So thank
Yeah.
you so much. Thank you so much. If you have to sum it up in one sentence, or if somebody like me asks you, what is your message for the community, what would that be?
The message for the community would be, take your chance, be accountable for that what you do, and don't be or feel like a victim, just go for it.
Oh my God, I'm getting goosebumps as I'm hearing you say that. Yeah, take a chance, be accountable, go for it. Don't feel like a victim, because you're not. You are only if you allow yourself to be.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sabine. This has been an awesome conversation. Hope to see you around and emerge as a much stronger, much better hero. Who knows, right? You probably will just keep excelling and outdoing yourself. So good luck with that, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.